This is page 317. This is the independent practice for lesson 11.3. You're welcome to use this video to try these problems and then check your answers, or you can use this video to help you set up the problems. I'm going to make a little whiteboard here and I'm going to try the problems on the left side of the page first. Number 7, read, and the directions read, in 7 through 13, write and solve an equation to answer each question. Number 7 reads, George baked cookies for his math class end of the year party. There are 28 people in George's math class, including George and his teacher. George baked enough cookies for everyone to get 3 cookies each. How many cookies did George bake? So George baked a bunch of cookies. We're not sure how many. So C could represent the number of cookies. And then what we did is we take all those cookies and we do what? We divide them by the 28 people. So all the cookies get divided up equally by 28 people. It's not more than that because the 28 there includes George and his math teacher, or George and his teacher. And then the total everyone gets is 3. So the problem would be take all the cookies, divide by 28, and everyone gets 3 each. Now how do we solve this? How do we solve division equations? We multiply. We're going to multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply by 28 actually. 28 by 3. If you multiply 28 by 3, this side of the equation looks kind of silly, but those cancel and all that's left is C equals. And 3 times 28 is, 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, it's 84. I could check that if I wanted to. If I took 84 cookies and divided them by 28 people, everyone would get 3. So, the answer, it's a 2-part. We're supposed to write and solve the equation. The answer is C divided by 28 equals 3 cookies each. C is equal to 84. We just proved it. If we divide 84 by 28, we're going to get 3 each. Okay, good job. That's the answer to number 7. Let's move on. Go ahead and erase. We're now on number 8. Sam divided a rectangle into 8 congruent rectangles that each have the area shown. What is the area of the rectangle before Sam divided it? So the area of the whole thing would be like if this was just one big rectangle right here, what's the area? We don't know that. But what we do know is that that area was divided by 8, because you can see that it was divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to go ahead and start this kind of over. So here's what happened. We have an area, and we don't know what the area is, but we divided it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chunks. So what does that look like on an equation? Is it looks like this. And then we know the answer after it was divided is 5 each. And we know that because it says right here the area of this is 5. So the problem would be, probably use A for area. The area, if it got divided by 8, would be equal to 5. And we just solved one like this. This one's even easier though. If you have a division equation, you solve by multiplying. 8 times 5 is 40. That should make perfect sense. I just did that one mentally. If I made this 40, if the whole area is 40 and we divided that by 8, would we get 5 each? Of course we would. You can tell because if you did 5 in each of these, 5 times 8 is 40. So the equation is A divided by 8 is equal to 5. And the answer is the area was equal to 40. And then we're going to write square centimeters. Cool. That one wasn't too hard. Let's check out number 9. Number 9 reads, Carmen participated in a readathon. Mr. Cole pledged $4 per book and gave Carmen $44. How many books did Carmen read? So here's how a readathon works. Someone offered to give her $4 per book. So you would take that 4, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to change it from 4 like this. That stuff's not algebraic. What I'm going to do is get rid of I don't need the decimal. I don't need any. It's just 4. $4 per book looks like this, 4. And you multiply that by the number of books, and I don't know how many that is. So $4 times the number of books is equal to, and then he gave her a total of 44 bucks. Now I bet you can just instantly figure out how many books she read. What does b have to be? 4 times b equals 44. Well, I solve this multiplication by dividing. It's always what you do. You do the opposite operation, the inverse operation. These 4's cancel. All that's left is b equals 44 divided by 4 is 11. That makes perfect sense because if you had 4 times 11, it would be equal to 44. So the equation is 4b equals 44, and the answer is b equals 11 books. All right, let's move on to number 10 and 11. Number 10 reads, Lee drove 420 miles and used 15 gallons of gasoline. How many miles did Lee's car travel per gallon of gasoline? So if you have 15 gallons of gasoline and you can go a certain number of miles per gallon, and then we go a total of 420, it looks like 15 times m would be equal to 420. This is a multiplication equation. How do I solve that? I solve that by dividing by 15. So the math here is 420 divided by 15. 15 goes into 42 twice, almost 3 times, but 3 times 15 is 45. So 2 times 15 is 30. Subtract and get 12. Bring down the 0. 15 goes into 120 8 times. My multiplication chart tells me so. 15 times 8 is 120. And I get 28. So and that should make sense. We can, oops, I didn't mean to do that. We can check that right here by saying 15 times 28 needs to be 420, and it is. So what I'm going to write here for my equation is 15 times m is equal to 420, and m is equal to 28. And the question says how many miles did Lee's car go? 28 miles. Alright, we're going to do one more problem for this video, and then we're going to make a part 2 for this page. We're on number 11. Number 11 reads, on some days, Melvin commutes 3.5 hours per day to the city for business meetings. Last week, he commuted for a total of 14 hours. How many days did he commute to the city? So let me help you out how to understand how to set this up. For a total of 14 hours means that's the end of my equation, 14. And then I've got 3.5, and it's 3.5 multiplied by I don't know. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to put D because it says how many days. So 3.5 is how long, 3.5 hours is how long it takes him to commute on some days. We're just not sure how many days it is. So I put a D there. So if I do 3.5 times D, I'm going to get 14. And this is a multiplication equation. How do I solve a multiplication equation? I solve by dividing. So I'm going to divide by 3.5. And that's simple. 3.5 divided by 3.5 is 1. And 1D just looks like this, D. The harder part is going to be take 14 and divide it by 3.5. And I'm going to do that the old-fashioned way, although it's not going to be, I'm probably going to make this harder than you need to. Honestly, you should probably just punch it into a calculator. 14 divided by 3.5. I'm going to do 14 goes on the inside, and 3.5 goes on the outside. And the reason I want to do it this way is because I want to remind you that we can't divide by a decimal. So what we do is we multiply this by 10 to make it 35. And if you multiply that by 10 to make that 35, you got to multiply this by 10 to make it 140. So now I just ask myself how many times is 35 going to 140? And 35 plus 35 is 70, plus another 35 is 105, plus another 35 is 140 exactly. I can prove that right here. I'm just going to do this. 35 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. So I guessed it right pretty much right off the bat. It's 4. 4 times 35 is 140. And it's 4 with the decimal right here. It's just 4. How many days did he commute? It's just 4. I can prove that right here by going 14 divided by 3.5 is 4. So the equation was 3.5 times D is equal to 14. And the answer is D is equal to 4 days. Okay, so that's going to be the end of part 1 of this video. You'll have to go to the next video to check out the right-hand side of the page. Good job so far.